On this week's Farrell Sports Business podcast, we're going to talk about an emerging sport. Now, it's been around for 10 plus years. It uses a golf course, but it is not golf. It is called FlingGolf. So think golf meets lacrosse. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see my guest show the actual stick. It's more of a throwing motion. Utilizes a golf course, diversifies revenue for a golf course. The founder and CEO of FlingGolf is the guest on this week's Farrell Sports Business podcast, and I'm the host, Matt Farrell. But don't call him a disruptor. He's actually trying to build community and work together with the golf course community, and especially golf courses have been very open to this new product called FlingGolf. So our guest this week is the CEO and founder of FlingGolf. He's an entrepreneur, Shark Tank veteran, Alex Van Alen. Alex, welcome. So great to see you again.
Oh, it's great to be here, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Well, there's so much about FlingGolf we're going to get into. I would like for maybe you, and this can be really, really brief, but just describe the game as it is right now.
Yeah, well, the FlingGolf, one way to think about it is really like lacrosse golf. It's instead of hitting a golf ball, you use a single fling stick. You put the golf ball in there and you throw the golf ball. So I'll show you the whole stick. And that's all you need. You don't need 14 clubs to get around the course. So it's just one stick. You're throwing it. It's not just popping it down the middle. It's really, you're able to shape your shots different ways. So you can be very athletic about it, but it's a little more intuitive than golf. And you play with the golf ball on a golf course. We've been at it for a bunch of years, as you know, and we just surpassed 2,000 golf courses that we know of in 39 countries that it's been played on.
Well, we first connected, I was at the Golf Channel and somewhat charged with identifying alternative forms of golf. And then world events and pandemics kind of changed that direction. But it's impressive of what you've built. And I want to know, where did it start for you?
Yeah, it started, I played a little bit of lacrosse back in high school. And I played golf growing up, playing golf. My dad's a big golfer, and so plenty of time on the golf course. And, I guess my brothers and I, when I was in high school, we would come home and we would take our lacrosse sticks and throw golf balls around the backyard and, count strokes to hit a tree. And so that was sort of the very early origins of it, but didn't think much of it. And then about 10 years ago, maybe a little more, I started thinking about, throwing a golf ball and really what were the sort of dynamics of being able to throw a golf ball as far as possible. And so I started building things out of toys and highlight baskets and lacrosse sticks. And over time, sort of came up with the fling stick. And, that was a sort of 2-year period to develop that. But as I was developing it, I was thinking if I could get 200 yards, I could go out on a golf course and play the same time as golfers. But it was at that point in time where golf courses were really struggling to get new players. This is pre-pandemic. And as you know, the pandemic was the best thing happened to golf, got everybody out on the course.
Right.
They were really closing at rates of 200, 250 courses a year. We're closing in the U.S. So I realized there might be business opportunity from a golf course owner's point of view as well, to bring new players onto the course. And really I've modeled, I think you and I can both remember when snowboarding came onto the scene, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I talk to younger people now and they're like, what? It was never like that. There was a time when you couldn't snowboard, but as I was saying to you earlier, I went to the University of Colorado. So I saw snowboarding coming into onto the ski slopes and I thought, well, maybe I could do that with golf. And this is a new way to bring, new younger people onto the course, a new vibe. And so that's really where what I've modeled FlingGolf off of since then.
So we're definitely going to come back to other emerging sports and where you drew inspiration or paths you didn't want to go down. But I actually want to, before we go there, I want to hit you, and I won't do pure justice to your background, but a few things that I didn't know, that you're sitting there with somewhat of a land conservation type professional roles and background. Not the
Yeah.
typical path that you would see of entrepreneurs and sport leaders.
No, I did not get an MBA. I went to school for environmental conservation. I have a master's degree in ecology, and that's that's a passion of mine. And certainly the outdoors, the natural world is a passion of mine. But this opportunity, for whatever reason, I just sort of started running with it, and it got its own steam. I wasn't sure how long it was going to go, and I had big visions for it from the beginning, but didn't know how long it was going to go, and it just keeps on building steam. We build the community, and it's so yeah, it wasn't in my playbook when I was going to college or grad school, but it's where I am now, and I'm having a fun time doing it.
Oh, well, it's really good stuff and exciting to see. So let's maybe reset a little bit on just on the business side of Fling Golf. What are generally some of the numbers? You mentioned 2,000 courses,
Mhm.
players, countries. How do you kind of like reset, listeners on where the sport is right now, just from a numbers perspective?
Yeah, I can say that our player numbers are in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions yet, but that's coming. It's certainly accelerated in the last few years. Um, we played on 2,000 courses that we know. And those are courses that are reported back about, excuse me, on our map, where we know we've been played. And so the number is actually likely closer to 3,000, maybe even 4,000. Just we don't
Yeah.
know where everybody plays because we don't. We send, player buys a fling stick. We don't know where they're going to play. They go out to their local course and go play, and hopefully they report back to us. We have sort of
I would have
we
been one of
try and
those.
keep in
I
touch.
When we first met, you sent me a stick. I played at a course in Orlando, but probably you wouldn't have known that. So I'm with you. I think your numbers are probably much higher.
Yeah, yeah, and that really says something too. One thing we did when we started out, I really started out with the National Golf Course Owners Association, and I knew that I had to educate them about that and look for their support. And so that was a really important thing to do, was start there. And they've been fantastic. It's a great organization, and the golf course owners have been extremely welcoming. Very early on, the president of what was then Billy Casper Golf said to me, "Look, if you bring the players, we'll let them play. Why wouldn't we? You're paying the same price. You're not doing any damage to the course. You're not slowing anybody down. More accurate than beginner golfers.
Yeah.
So it's really, why would they not let you play? And that's what we've seen consistently throughout the few years that we've been doing this.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I'm a lifelong golfer, love it, passionate about it. But I would say that's not sometimes the fastest evolving industry, sometimes not the most receptive to change industry. What were some of those first meetings like? Were you pleasantly surprised, or were you beating your head against a wall at times?
No, I was very surprised, and really when you look at it, and this is talking to golf course owners. Um, Golf course owners I look at them as farmers, right? They own 200 acres. They got to make their money off of their 150, 200 acres, whatever it is. What crops are they going to plant? And they've been planting corn for the last 200 years. And now I'm saying, hey, wait, how about some soybeans? Or how about some, throw something in there in between the
That's
rows? And to them, they're like, well, that makes sense, right? Why would I? I've got empty tee times. Why wouldn't I let someone come walk on, do no damage, and fill up those empty tee times? So it's really just gravy for them. We're not we're not out to convert traditional golfers, right? We're bringing certainly not the avid traditional golfers. We're bringing new people to the course that have not gone on a course for intimidation reasons, or they don't, getting off
yeah.
that first tee is hard. With fling golf, you can get off that first tee in half an hour. One bucket of balls, the right instructions, and you can get off. You're not going to be a pro, but you're getting off well enough to have fun, go down the fairway, get to the green, finish up, and move on to the next hole, and not make a fool out of yourself, and not be intimidated, not be stressed. So
Hmm.
that's really a great selling point from the player's point of view. From the golf course owner's point of view, they certainly, why wouldn't they allow people to come play? And of course, then we do have those examples of golf course owners or managers that have taken the ball and run with it. And some of them are getting 2,000 extra rounds a year, just gravy,
Wow.
from FlingGolf. So it sort of makes sense from that PGA perspective, the golf course owner's perspective. Why not bring more money in when you've got the fixed asset of the golf course just sitting there?
Duh, just totally makes sense. And your farming analogy, that's hilarious.
Yeah, right.
It's just so appropriate. So, I mean, going back to some of those early days, or maybe even today,
Yeah.
was there an area that you looked at of like, wow, this is going to be hard, and it just wasn't,
Yeah, a lot of it. No, not,
or it lived up to the hype of how hard it was going to be.
the I would say the biggest obstacle for us it hasn't been that golf course owners won't let you play, like we talked about. It's that people think you can't play. You won't be able to play on a golf course. So convincing them that yes, you will.
Interesting.
That's where our marketing dollars need to go, is showing people, and we're normalizing it. Like we went to the PGA show just last week, and you can see already it used to be, from the PGA perspective, where they're like, oh, what's that? What's that thing? What do you describe that to me? Now most of them have heard about it, and they've seen people play. They've seen people come to their courses. It's reaching that sort of normalization, like snowboarding did at one point, where it's like not the weirdest thing to see on a golf course. It's, now it's like, okay, we've seen that before and it didn't do any damage. And so it's reaching that point where I think both course owners, PGA pros, and players are starting to see, and potential players are starting to say, hey, well, look, we've seen that on ESPN, we've seen that on Shark Tank, we've seen that, on social media, and I'm pretty sure I can go out and play on a golf course.
How about the opposite side of that? Anything that you woke up and you're like, ah, this is going to be the easiest part. I'm not going to have to worry about this because that part's going to be easy, and it didn't end up that way.
So when all entrepreneurs start off with like this thing, like, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake, or this makes so much sense to me. Why wouldn't it make sense to them? But I figured the golf course owners and managers would take it and really run with it, to actually do the promotion for me in essence. Like, and some have, like I said, some have done very well, but that didn't really happen. I mean, we sold to actually a couple hundred courses probably, and some of them really run with it. And it really just came down to whether they had that one manager, that one champion at the course that said, this is cool, I'm going to run with it. And that didn't happen as much as I thought it was. So that was interesting. We started off the first few years really focusing on golf courses. We knew we needed to educate them, but we were, again, hoping that they were going to run with it more. They all sort of turned back to us and said, you bring the players and we'll let them play. And that's where we changed our focus about 2019, 2020, really changed our focus into, we need to grow this community. It's our job to build the player base. And also, if you think about it, golf courses are really focusing on their customers or golfers. We focus on the non-golfers to the, 10 or 12 million casual golfers who, why are they only going out 1 or 2 times a year? Why aren't they going out 10 times a year? And you put a fling stick in their hand and maybe they're going to go out those 10 times because
Yeah.
they're less, just easier to get out. It's a little more casual. It's just a more fun way to be out there for a lot of people.
This is probably a topic for another day, but in my other part of my consulting life, I work with a baseball company, and in the same, you've just described sometimes dealing with it like a batting cage owner. You think, oh my gosh, of course they're going to promote this.
Right.
We've put it on a silver platter for them to play a game. But the reality ends up that they're a small business owner. They've got a teenager who didn't show up to work that day. They're
Right.
cleaning the facility. And it's just another thing sometimes. So
Very few people I've realized are looking for something more to do in the day. Right?
you're right. And
Yeah.
and so, in things I've seen about FlingGolf, things I've seen about you, the word disruption often comes up, and
Mhm.
I'm just curious, do you like that word? Is it an appropriate word? Because it just tends to get used a lot.
It's way overused, and I don't like it anyway because we're really not disrupting golf. What we're
Yeah.
growing a sport. I just look at it like we've created this incredible fun thing for people to do, and that's it. We're just creating this thing. We're not trying to disrupt anybody.
Yeah.
Um, it's way the term is way overused, and unless you're trying to talk to a VC who's like looking for you to use the word, I don't know. We're just growing a sport and we're having fun doing it.
Well, when you along the way, you've mentioned snowboarding,
Hmm.
um, and I would say, just even off the top of my head, newish type sports like even spike ball or
Hmm.
cornhole's been an activity forever, but it's relatively new as a sport. Are there other newish sports that you looked at along the way and say, oh, they've really got it dialed in, and
Yeah.
maybe the inverse of that, or you're like, you know what, I just don't want to go down that path. But what others did you
Yeah. I
model?
mean,
Did you benchmark against?
we've really looked at, we really wanted to grow community, and that's been a real focus of ours.
Yeah.
I think pickleball has done a good job of that. They started with um, excuse me, they've been at it for, pickleball's been around for 60 years. People don't really realize that, but it's been around for a
Right.
long time. It's only the last 10 years that it's been sort of focused and an energy behind organizing it and all that. Um, we definitely look at what pickleball is doing now with our league, which is similar to Major League Pickleball. We've got the World League FlingGolf, um, and the interest in that, really owning the sport um, by creating these competitions, um, but also developing that community because the community for us is everything. I mean, I look at it, my partners and I really look at our job is to support our community, is to provide them the platform to succeed in
Yeah.
whatever way they see success, whether that's, being a World League Fling Golf champion and getting sponsorships and going that way, or whether success is being a dad who can get out with his daughter on the course for the first time. Dad can play golf, daughter can play fling golf, they're out having fun. That's success. But whatever we can do to support the community and give them the platform for success, that's what we want to do.
So, what's happened in the equipment space in fling golf? Is it something that you've wanted to be the sole manufacturer of? Are you seeing other equipment manufacturers? Is there any type of a industry being developed?
We no, we are the sole. Excuse me. Sorry, let me get a little water here. We are the sole manufacturer. I developed it, we patented it, and so right now we are that sole manufacturer. There may be a time where we license that out if it makes sense,
Yeah.
but we're really developing those. The the brand, product, and the league as well. But we are that sole manufacturer at this time.
Yeah. Mainly U.S. focused. What are you seeing around the world?
Yeah, I mean, largely U.S. Although we've been played in 39 countries to date, which is pretty cool. All six continents with a golf course, not Antarctica, but and that really shows
Not that you
the
know of, right?
not the exactly someday. Um, that really shows how easy it is for fling golf to uh, to be played because it's we have people that are taking their sticks whenever they travel and they go play. And then they report back what country they played. So some of those countries may have only been played one time, one course, but it's just like you're able to bring your fling stick with you and go play. And actually one of the coolest things, just last November, one of our players played St. Andrews, played the old course of
I
St.
saw
Andrews,
that.
and which was really cool. Again, just sort of a feather in our cap. The world didn't fall apart. The traditional golf didn't, didn't fall into the sea. He showed it to them. He got the lottery to get on, showed it to them. They were like, "This is fantastic." They watched him go off the first tee, thought it was awesome. And so if you can play the old course of St. Andrews, you should be able to play pretty much anywhere, right?
That's so. Good, because I saw that article and I was thinking the same thing of, did that take weeks of preparation of this is what's going to happen? Because
Yeah.
you had one of the St. Andrews caddies there
Yeah.
in the same photo of the news article, and I was just fascinated of because I actually had the chance to play there early last summer for the
Oh,
first
nice.
time, so bucket list, and I don't know, I'm nervous just to walk out on the wrong sidewalk there.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. No, he said it was, I mean, he was playing in November. He said it was very casual, and the golfers he was with were, very into what he was doing, and they played their game, he played his. And actually, I think when he got back, I think this is right, the manager asked him to come in and talk to him for a while in his office. I think he might have even left his fling stick there at the manager's request, so they
Smart.
have the first fling stick played at St. Andrews.
That's smart. I
Isn't that
love
cool?
it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the World League Fling Golf. Can you
Yeah.
expand on that, what that is, and how that came about?
Yeah, so we started off, by obviously the equipment, develop the equipment, build up a community of players, and then there was a certain point in 20, we planned to do it before the pandemic, but then about 2022, we actually got a call from ESPN, excuse me. They had seen um, one of our YouTube videos for a competition. They said, "Hey, next time you do a tournament, let's partner together and we'll show it." And so we put together our first tournament as quickly as we could, and that was in May of 2022. And really, the idea was you want to build this league so that you obviously to provide that platform for your players, but to own the sport, own everything about it. Um, Provide that platform for your players and showcase the sport in the best possible way. And that's what gets on ESPN. That's what gets on, the other regional sports nets that we're on. It draws a lot of attention to the sport. And so we developed the league. We did two courses or two tournaments the first year, five the second, five in 2024, plus a Britain's Cup, which was a Riders' Cup style over in England, where we sent a Team USA of 8 players over to play 8 players, 8 British players. And we're going to do that again this year in June. I think we're doing 10 players now. I think it's 6 men, 4 women on either side playing against a British team over there. So it's fun to see that.
That's
Yeah,
great.
putting the league together was a really important step, one we'd always thought we would do. But again, it really showcases the sport in the best way.
When I think most of us, when you think of entrepreneurism, somebody's invented the next widget. There's not a huge collection of people who are really starting a sport.
Right.
So, any lessons learned or advice for entrepreneurism for the path you took that's really not like most of the entrepreneurs out there that are just trying to make a new device or product?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I always envisioned it. I was in it for the long haul. I mean, in a way, I had a big vision for where it could go. So there's a difference between developing a backyard toy or, a backyard game where you just sort of try to sell as many as you can. But
Yeah.
I really wanted to create a sport, and which means creating community, creating the grassroots, really putting in the effort and time to reach out to the courses, find out who your players are. I mean, I didn't really know who my players were going to be when I first started out.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more, narrowing down, who it is. I mean, it's still very broad, but it's be ready for the long haul if you're going to start something like this. It's a long game, definitely, but it's fun. I mean, it's not many people get to create a new sport and bring a new product to market and see it succeed. But it's a challenge to start and to change minds and to you got a lot of haters to start too, particularly honestly from the traditional golfers world. They're like, oh, get that off our course or whatever. But that's just that's you just sort of take it in stride. Um,
Yeah. Those are the
but
same people who don't want beginners out there that, yeah,
Right.
it's like, come on.
If you think about it, the traditional golfer's perfect thing is a golf course to himself, right? So they don't want anybody else out there, but you look at a golf course owner or, families, they want to be out there having a good time. So
Uh, so last, anything that I didn't ask you that I should, and where should people go find more information, try it out?
yeah, I mean, take a look at us. You can find us all over social media, FlingGolf, at FlingGolf, and certainly FlingGolf.com is our website. Um, no, I think we covered a lot, Matt, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, I just say if people want to go out and have a good time on the course, feel like, if they feel like they're intimidated or they've been driving by a course and they don't play golf, so they never thought about going on it, well, a fling stick in your hand will get you out there. And go give it a try.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining. This is great, and I've tried this myself and love it. And so wish you the best of luck, and I really appreciate you joining.
All right, Matt. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the time. Fun to be on.